Alright, y'all. This was requested by a friend of mine to kind of elaborate on this concept that I was exposed to. Ben Darwish turned me on to this idea of drop 2 chords and the bebop scale. And so this is going to be kind of explaining that whole concept. Bear with me, I'm not like the best pianist in the world, so I'm going to kind of stumble, but I think you'll find the content's pretty interesting. Okay, so in C, this idea of a bebop scale is, it starts like this. There's 8 tones in it, so you're adding a chromatic tone. And there's a number of different bebop scales. You can add it here, or here, or here, or here, right? So like the idea is that when you add an 8th tone to your major scale, you have chord tones on all of your downbeats. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Just because most of our subdivisions are even. That's obviously for 8th notes and 16th notes. This particular concept revolves around adding the sharp 5 to a major scale. Okay, so what happens when you introduce that particular tone and you harmonize the scale in ternary form, you know, like we do with our triads, we skip every other tone and build chords with it. Kind of, you know, we get our extended harmonies by following that pattern. But what ends up happening when you do that here is you get a major 6 chord. Okay, so there's your 1 chord. C, E, G, A, and then you're back to C. Okay, then the 2 chord would be right? You get a D diminished chord, a fully diminished chord, a completely symmetrical chord. Okay, there's your 2 chord. 3 chord. Okay, this is like E, it's a minor shape, it kind of has a minor sound to it, suspended maybe, if you see this as the root. But if you consider it as an inversion, there again you have this C6 chord, just over E. Okay, there's your 3 chord. Your 3 chord is very similar to your 1 chord. Okay, so let's move on to the 4 chord. You get a suspended, or not a suspended, excuse me, a diminished 4 chord. Another fully symmetrical chord. Okay, that's basically an inversion of the 2 chord. Okay, so that's the 4 chord. If you continue this concept, you get another C6 chord over G as the 5 chord. And then you get another fully diminished chord from A flat, G sharp. This is an A minor chord, A minor 7, but there again, if you invert it, you end up back here at C6. So that's your 6 chord, and then your 7 chord is another fully diminished chord. Okay, so what this is implying is that when you do that, there's only 2 chord shapes that happen. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you're back to 1. 2 chord shapes. Major 6, diminished. Major 6, diminished. Major 6, diminished. Major 6, diminished. Major 6. These really nice clusters that are just modes of themselves. So that's how we harmonize the bebop scale. The drop 2 concept comes from this. If we take these chords, here's the first one, and we count 1, 2 from the top, and we drop it down to the bass. Okay, now we get this shape. This is a fourth, a third, and a fourth. A fairly open shape. And now if we continue harmonizing with these drop 2 shapes, we get these really nice voicings. That's really nice with the cluster, the second in the middle, and it's so wide, the 10th on the outside. I screwed that up. Where did I screw that up? Okay, so that's the idea of the drop 2. Now you can actually kind of like go through the modes of this with your inversions. This is kind of an interesting concept. I've done a little bit of this. So if we go here, and then we invert it, now we drop the 2 here, we get this voicing. Or if we go, let's see here, this isn't quite right. I think I was dropping different intervals. That's it. Maybe let's try this. Or, so that was this guy. Then if I change it, I've got, instead of dropping, that was dropping 1, dropping 2 we've already discussed. If I drop the 3, what I get is 1, 2, 3. That's, see, we're going through all these different voicings that can be created now. Or if we drop the 4, it would be. If you really wanted to dig deep, you could go through and harmonize all of these, and you would find that, if I understand it correctly, you're going to discover different intervals all the way through, different voicings of the same 4 tones. There's a lot of vocabulary hidden inside of this. I was told that this is where a lot of Bill Evans got his like clusters, where he would like imply a major 6 chord by doing something like maybe something like this, and then dropping the 2, and how he would take his blocks and move them up, because he does a lot of this like kind of walking cluster stuff. But yeah, that's the concept. It's really cool. What I've found beneficial personally is like I've struggled to kind of like feel free within my diminished patterns. And so what this did is it kind of opened up my major scale a little bit, where if I'm thinking C major 7, now all of a sudden D diminished isn't so far-fetched. Or, and for that matter, I can think of F diminished and kind of phrase that way. Let's see. Usually we think about our diminished chords happening here, you know, and they're half diminished at that. So it's like, I feel like I've been kind of stuck with diminished happening on the 7th degree. So to have it open up from the 2 and the 4 in particular is really nice. Kind of portals to head through. There again, you could kind of like, you know, a lot of times we phrase like these maybe Dorian ideas over a major chord rooted from the 6th. And so now you could kind of use that sharp 5 as a portal kind of thinking sharp 5 into 6. Yep. It just opened up some new pivot points with that diminished pattern over a major chord. That's what I got. Kind of cool stuff. Enjoy.